Yo, um, we're back again. This time it's a different video. This one I want to talk about energy, intention, purpose, feelings, this expression, the fact that we're very much just alive and aware at this moment. I mean, not that it always was like this. A lot of times, we're striving for it, and it's hard to reach that stability to where you can attain self-awareness. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. A lot of life is done in the reactive state. It's in the feeling that we're experiencing life in that first moment. It's like very new, very fresh, very out of your control. And a lot of times people reside in that, and it's like that's it. And then like just everything outside is faith. um I want to say that once you reach that stability to where you're able to really question, really to take that moment and take this raw image, this raw energy that we have as an experience of life, and really question and take a, outline and make our own wave, really manipulate this energy that we hold into making ourself, making sure that our feelings, our intentions are purposeful or just expressed in the way that we would like. So that if that's the intention that we want, it would be from our optimal state. Why would you want to be in a constant disadvantage? Well, depends on how you're trying to strategize this. I mean, personally, I like to move from really rugged, really hard areas, or at least what I can, withstand or almost withstand, to a greater outcome, like this gradual approach. Now, what happens when you reach a gradual approach? Well, when you reach the peak, or at least you're thinking of that peak, you gotta understand, where do you really stand? Are we doing a 2D spectrum, or are we talking 3D? Is there, and that's how you're continually shaping, reshaping, re-understanding your energy and moving forward with it, just because you're learning. And the learning, the growth from nothing to a little bit of something, that is your motion forward. It's a gradual thing that you're getting farther away from unknowing. You're going more into the known. You're creating your experience of the known world, whether it's whether it's in your control or not, through your eyes, being in control of opening your eyes, like you're awake this morning. That's your control into saying, okay. That's your access into saying, okay, I'm experiencing this and I'm fully consenting to it. So that's how you're able to really understand your energy. And when you go from just that reactive state to now where you're in that stability, to be more self-aware and self controlled, really attuned to who you are, now moving forward, you're able to like paint. That's as best as I can explain it, is paint. And that's where I feel like I'm moving in. Like, there's a beauty of the unknowing in that reactive state. Now, if you're going from a self-aware to a conscious reactive, it's like you're almost in a movie state or flow state. This is what I would call it, like the flow state. You see that a lot with artists. You see that a lot with musicians, people that like are so like good with whatever they're at, like in their environment, that everything goes into automation. Well, if you're the creator of like, okay, this is my rule book, this is like how I see things, this is how I outline, this is like, you're able to identify and really manage what you got going on, and then you're like, okay, this is what I'm sticking with, and you keep that inner intention, and that becomes your notice, your ticks, your habits, your like, oh, subconscious, and you leave that for your background, like a software or like something like that, and then you just say, I release. I release into the unknown. Now that unknown will allow you into a greater experience of life, because now you understand its value. You understand these emotions. Now you're just like, I'm doing. Now the unknown, because it is volatile, it is just creative energy, and it has its mind of its own, that it will manipulate as much as it can from whatever your intentions are, to try and bring it more into its oneness, because that's what it wants to just be. Like, just be. Don't even try to hold on to anything. There should be nothing to hold on to. We're in free fall, free flying. There is no sense of direction or gravity or anything. You're just doing. But if you go and you have your, say, your structure, your place, your neutral point. This is what I would call it, like the neutral point on a graph. If you get into that area, then when you feel like you're in complete, utter, out of control, and you're like, you know what, I need a break. This is too much. I need a chance to really absorb, really understand, reflect, marinate on it. Let me just take a pause. You can. Now, is that healthy? Is a question to your mental. Like, how much are you willing to take? Because when you step into an unknown, you're at like the mercy of every single instance. Your mood swing could change. It could stay constantly dull. You could feel like you're at a point where there's nothing and it's just bare. You're in like the bare minerals. You're so detached. Well, then how do you have your neutral point to bring you back to this unknowingness? That's the danger, is that if you go into the unknown and you leave it as such and you just release to the kinetic energy or whatever it is, you won't worry about that, because you'll always be at the mercy of your emotions. You'll be at that reactive point to where you're always going to have your feelings. You won't have a chance to like have that pause, like complete stop, to where you can be like, flip, reflect, oh, okay, and then you can hop back in, or try to hop back in, or move, whatever the case. The fear is that you end up in this hole, this box, this sense of just objectifying. I don't know, just where like there's just material and you're not like really experiencing anything, or you're too far in the know to dive in the unknown. Because once you're in the know, that becomes a part of your conscious subcontext. You know, it went from the context of your current life and you learned that, to now you know that. Like, you learned that point way in that time. Now you know this and it's in you. So like, you can't erase that, especially if it's a life experience and it's something that has pivotively changed you. So it's like, that's like your core, that's like your hard software, like hardware, whatever you want to call it. And then it's just like you can't dive into that unknown. And that is one of the greatest risks of this, because you can't just have everything. You can't just stop and go whenever you want without this whole emotional like draw, this constant gamble with your energy, because you can't hold on to the apple for long before it dissipates into nothingness and you're left with the husk of a whole. You're trying to grasp at the mist, believing you can hold on to it for eternity, unknowing of its already vanishing existence. I don't know. I'm not like super poetic, but you understand what I'm saying. Um That's the beauty of naiveness, just being completely oblivious to the on and on day-to-day interactions, to where you're not living with or living for, you're living to, you're living towards something, you're living to do, to learn, to experience, to grow. And that opens up a whole new way. So like this energy that you keep, it's very, very important. And when like guided, when given the right nutrients, when being put in a proper setting, giving the fruitful intentions and purpose needed to become, you can then withstand the draw. You can stop and go, as long as you're doing long periods, like you go into an unknown, then you stop for a moment, resonate with it, learn, okay, then you go ahead into a more unknown. Hopefully you can do that for the entirety of your life, and I wrote it down somewhere that it's fine to revisit points that you feel like you've known. Like, oh, I went to this place, I learned these things at this time when I was 24, and then now I'm 33, and I'm like, well, let's go back to this spot. You'd be surprised how much has changed. Every experience is a new experience if you're experiencing from an open eye. So, that's the beauty. That's all.